Hey, SaysWhovians, Dan here. Welcome to our debate recap. It is midnight in Chicago right now. I am very tired. You might be able to hear a high-pitched whine behind me. That is a cricket that has been in my basement, singing its little cricket song this whole time. It has driven me mad. Anyway, me and Maureen talk about the debate. But before we start, I want to just point out that I sound like hot ass. And that is because I set myself up on a couch with a little external camera and a handheld microphone so that I could be comfortable for the 3 hours that we have been recording. And it turns out that the handheld microphone was not the microphone that was configured in the audio setting of our recording system, and instead it was the camera's microphone. So that's why I sound like what you're gonna hear and not like this. And you better believe I am really annoyed about that fact. So anyway, enjoy. I'm sorry that I sound like I do. Also, the cricket was very audible, and I modulated it out as much as I could. So I hope that you do not hear a lot of high-pitched whining coming from my audio side. But anyway, it is late. I hope all of you are asleep.
See you tomorrow.
It's true. Maureen is eating an ice cream.
Mini ice cream cone.
I am going to somehow make myself more comfortable in this situation.
You can just lay down.
I'm going to, because I'm using a handheld microphone. So here we go. Oh, yes.
Now I can't. I just see Jan's knees.
I should have done this all along.
No, you couldn't have watched the faces.
That would have been okay. So, SaysWhovians.
Oh, good cone.
We have just watched the debate. Maureen is almost done eating her ice cream.
It's really small.
We recorded ourselves on video watching the debate. That will come out later. That will come out this weekend as a town watch for our Patreon supporters at patreon.com/sayswho. That video is mostly us staring slightly off angle from camera.
Yep.
Not saying a lot.
No.
So that's something. If you need large amounts of B-roll of me and Maureen staring off into space,
we say some stuff. You do get to see us react in real time to some of the big highlights. And what were those highlights? Let's go through it.
Let's talk. So first of all, now I can't remember her line. One of the big lines that she kept saying was, let's get context for how we ended up here. So let's get context for how we ended up here, Maureen, because we sat through another debate. Just a little bit more than a month and a bit ago, right? Like it was the end of June. It was June 21st.
Was that all it was?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was. So it was 2 and a bit months ago.
What a different world. Can you imagine if we were doing that again now?
Oh, no, I can't. Because you know what? We wouldn't have. So
no,
that debate ended, and we didn't feel good in our tums or our heads.
I feel like I have to, because it is 11 o'clock here in the Eastern Seaboard, as we call it, the Eastern Seaboard. That's the thing, is after you hear Trump talk for 2 hours, everything is very, they're saying, everybody's calling it that. Everybody's calling it the Eastern Seaboard. It's very, you get into that weird ass cadence of his, starts to go through your head where he just says shit. He just says things. So
the end of this debate did not feel like the end of that debate. How are you feeling, Maureen? Besides tired, it is very late where you are.
It's more that my body has an actual physical reaction to hearing Donald Trump talk for like an hour and a half. It genuinely is. It's that kind of. I think we all have like PTSD. Like I think we're all like,
definitely.
Top. You want my top level of how I think it went, or do we want to go bit by bit?
I want your top level of how you feel and how you feel it went.
She was really like Lucy with the football in a really refreshing way. A bunch of times, like she would just kind of put things in front of him, and he would go to kick the football, and she would take the football away. Like, oh, all these, she would say like, just get him. The answer, the question was about, I don't know what it was supposed to be about, but she got him like to talk about crowd sizes. Instead. Like she just dropped in crowd sizes, and here's crowd sizes, and he has to talk about crowd sizes. She laughed at him a bunch. She called him weak.
Yeah, many times.
He stared ahead. He didn't ever really look at her.
No.
She stared at him the whole time.
Yeah, real laser eye situation, just boring a hole in the side of his head when he would be talking.
And I don't think he enjoyed that.
No. He definitely did not enjoy that.
No, he didn't enjoy that. He just got called. So what was different? Well, for a start, these moderators actually did, like when he said they're taking babies out at 9 months and killing them, and they were like, Mr. Trump, nobody is taking a baby after delivery and killing it. Like they just actually were like that doesn't happen anymore.
Some mild follow-up fact-checky stuff, which was welcome.
Yeah, they did some mild. They did try to stop them from going and going and going, and they both slipped. He slipped every time. He couldn't stop himself.
No. He
couldn't let anything go. He was really thirsty. He was watching the clock a lot. But he really I don't think he liked that, and I love him not liking that. So that's fun. I you know what I have to say, Dan? Honestly, I feel like the top level emotion for me, like it's a weird thing, is I think about my Trump voting relative. I don't think I have a Trump loving relative. I think I have a Trump voting relative.
Yeah.
I think I have a relative who has just been so inoculated against, like has just been told weird stuff about immigration and filled with hate speech from Fox for so long that it's not that he's voting for Trump, he's just voting oppositionally.
Okay.
But just how crazy it makes me feel, because what it's given us is a world of little Trumps in our houses.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really, really hard.
Yeah, totally.
Like it feels like it's ripping your soul apart.
Yeah.
Because nothing feels real, and it feels like nothing matters. And it exposes how shitty the wiring is on this whole thing. Which is something a lot of people already knew. But like just how weird, there's so much weird charade about all this. Like they have to do the stuff that's like, we as Americans, like you can say anything in this tone. We as Americans, we can all agree that birds are people, and that when we see birds are talking directly to us, and that's what makes us what. I think that we can all agree as Americans that our shoes move around our rooms at night independent of us, and that's what makes us special. That's what makes us one people. We have sentient shoes that follow us, and birds that talk to us, and that's what makes us great. Like you just can say stuff in that cadence, and it's all like, I'm like, why do we have to do this?
Right.
Why do we got to do it? Why do we got to do the greeting card?
Right.
I don't want it. I don't like it, and I don't want it. I think, okay, overall she ate his lunch. Like overall, she ate his lunch.
Yeah.
Did I like everything she had to say? No. Yeah, like climate change got about a minute at the end. at the end, it always gets at the end, like climate change, everyone's like, yeah.
Yeah. Climate change got a minute at the end. Guns got no time. School shooting got no time.
Zero time. Zero. Except he said, they're coming for your guns. And then she came up with I'm a gun owner.
Yeah.
I was like, boo.
Yeah.
Do not want.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know why they didn't discuss, there was literally a school shooting last week, right? Like that is a issue that people fucking care about. And
I bet it preys on you at night.
Yeah. And like and thinking back to the first debate and then thinking back to a recent question that was posed to Donald Trump, the first debate, they were both doddering old men were asked about childcare, and neither one of them answered. I believe that might have been the question they began to argue about golf scores over. And then Donald Trump last week was asked about childcare at some event, and he gave an absolute meander, crazy answer. And that probably, I think that maybe should have come up. Like some parent-related questions, not a bad idea. But none of that came up. Dan,
he was such a good dad that he never even thought about outside childcare. Like he was always so hands-on.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so like I do feel like though the moderators did do a better job of occasionally calling on bullshit, I still don't feel like they filled the time as relevantly as they could. I mean, I think that devoting 1 minute at the very end to climate change, where there's no ability to follow up, no ability to point out that Donald Trump didn't even answer anything about climate change. He talked about where cars are manufactured. I feel like after the hottest summer that we've ever had, like maybe that should have more of a question. But yeah, so I feel like the moderation was better than the last one, but could have been better. I think she did a decent job, I mean, I think the greeting card shit is just, it would be nice if you didn't have to do it, but what her big goal, like she kind of had two big goals. One was this is her one and only opportunity to introduce herself to a lot of people, right? And so she needed to do a lot of that. This is what I believe. This is my vision. This is this and that. And I think she did that fairly well. And I think the other thing that she really wanted to do and was really apparent at the end was, I want to show that I am different than him, right? And that the way I think about the world is not the sort of gloom, doom, everything is terrible, right? And so I think she achieved that. And I think that will help with folks that don't know shit, I do think that sort of visceral feeling that we have watching Donald Trump, I think there are a lot of people that have that feeling, and I don't think they are necessarily all natural Harris voters. And I think they all had that feeling tonight.
That's the thing we have to remember, is that this whole thing is a performance for a pretty small group of weirdos.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like, it's like, imagine a room full of like the Munsters. Like one's just like a mop with googly eyes, and one's got like a fang, and like one's just a hand that's crawling around. It's like these undecided weirdos are going to watch the debate and try to figure out what's what. Let's watch with them. And the rest of the country has to sit and watch these people like, so what do you think, weirdos?
I mean, I think that's true. And then I also think that there's a lot of people that just don't turn on to an election until a month or two before, and for those folks, like, there is just a level like, so who are you, with Harris? And like, I think that's fine. I think it's okay to not be a fucking weirdo that watches this shit every week like us.
How dare you. She did actually have a line that said, it was probably a good line, even though it's like, okay, like if the January 6th was a bridge you couldn't cross,
Yeah.
we have somewhere for you to go.
Yeah. You know, like that kind of shit I think she did a good job on, you know.
Like if you were fine with all the other shit, but
right.
if you were like that's too much for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas what we would like is someone's like, fuck y'all, I'm a socialist. Let's do this. I'm going to take your guns. I'm going to give you health care.
Yeah.
What are your questions? Oh, see, I'm just kidding. I'm not answering any questions. I just told you everything. Also, this guy eats shit. Bye. And then I drop my microphone and I would smoke bomb my way out.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like the caricature that they say she is, I'd be okay with. When he was like, she's a Marxist, it's like, that sounds fine. Yeah.
I'm like, if
that
only.
sounds great. Yeah.
She's not. So she's actually, she's not that. Because they asked her about fracking. She's like, I love it. Fracking is cool.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff that we're like, we don't want this. Nope. No.
It's cool. Let's go back to talking about abortion.
Yeah, her answer was she knocked that out of the park.
Yeah. She I mean the things that you would expect her to have good answers on, she had good answers on. The things that you would expect her to kind of have answers that you're like,
but when she's like, look, if someone is pregnant and miscarries and they go to the ER to get care for that, and then the doctors are afraid to do like any I guess a D&C or whatever that they have to do, she can, if something happens, she can get infection, some might bleed out in the parking lot, whatever, because they can't do care that they need to do. She's like, so is that what you want, someone bleeding out in the parking lot because doctors are too afraid to give care? Because that's what we've got.
Yeah. Like that was a very, very, like that whole section was extremely strong.
I was like, fuck. Okay. I'm like, now we're going.
Yeah. I mean, now that we are talking, I'm just struck at how the last debate we were just like, this is over.
Yeah.
This election is done, because it was.
That election was done.
Yeah.
We watched it die. It's like we watched someone come in and put a cloth over its mouth and suffocate it for 90 minutes. And we were just like, oh God. It was rough.
I'm glad I don't feel like that now. And I mean, it was fine, right? Like it was, do I wish she had, answers that lined up more with exactly what I believe? Yes.
Do I think Donald Trump is going to lose now? Yeah.
I mean, that's the big question is like, it has what, because the race right now is a stalemate, and it is a stalemate that is as close as it could possibly be, right? Like every single poll of the major swing states and at the national level is within a margin of error. Like we literally, no one can really tell you anything about what's about to happen. And the hope is this can dislodge that, If a couple states open up beyond 3%, then it's done, And does this do that? I hope so. But I don't know. Dan,
I feel like a real, maybe all of our favorite moment of the night might be the most informative.
Okay.
Is it the most informative, or is it just the favorite?
I'm going to lay back down again.
Oh. Dan, if you haven't had the pleasure of watching this debate yet, at some point during one of his many weird, most of Donald Trump's things was he defaulted to like 90 million trillion immigrants are climbing through your vents at night.
Yeah.
Like some version of that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that he actually said is that they are going to, I believe it was Springfield, Illinois. And these quote unquote illegal immigrants are coming in and they are eating our pets.
Yeah. It's Springfield, Ohio, I believe.
Springfield, Ohio. that they are coming to Springfield, Ohio, and they are eating everyone's pets.
Yeah. And he even went on. Like, they are eating their cats.
They're eating
their dogs.
He really kind of went through it, and he's like,
he really just listed animals for a while.
And then the moderator was put in the unusual position of, Mr. Trump, we just want to say we have a statement from the city supervisor of Springfield, Ohio, and no one's pets have been eaten. And then he said something really weird, well, I don't know. I saw it on television.
Yeah, there was someone on television that said
but there was someone on television, so...
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. That was probably my favorite point. Where when they just had to point out to the former president that no one was sneaking around eating the pets of Springfield, Ohio. No person. We didn't say anything about a wolf or a chupacabra or anything like that, but there's nobody sneaking around eating the pets of Springfield. And then when confronted with the fact that it wasn't happening, he'd seen it on television.
The man on my TV said so.
That is exactly how my dad talks. I saw it on TV. I'm like, okay. All right. Yeah. That's when I usually say something like, I'm going in the back room and I'm shutting the door for a while. Then, related, I'm going to my parents next week. So.
Oh, good. Perfect.
Listen,
I want. You know what? I've
earned
rested.
This. I've earned this.
You really are ready for a nice break.
I feel like I need this.
Yeah. Definitely. I think everyone listening can agree that it's just relaxing and nice for you there.
Pet eating got more time than climate change.
Oh, yeah. Pet eating got a lot more time than climate change. Pet eating got a lot more time than children being slaughtered in schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which got nothing.
Nothing.
Also, I can't even remember what... oh, wait, what's happening?
Uh-oh.
Taylor Swift. You've probably been waiting. Taylor Swift has come out for Kamala.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What did she say?
She put up an Instagram post of herself holding a cat.
Okay.
And she wrote a whole thing.
Okay.
If any of you watch the debate, yeah.
Well, that's good.
She put up a whole thing. So
Great
Swifties, but at one point tonight, he said they asked him what his plan was about something, and he said, "I have concepts of a plan."
Oh, it was a question that was 9 years ago. You said that you would repeal and replace Obamacare, and you never came up with a plan. You've had 9 years to do it. Do you now have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan.
I have concepts of a plan, but I'm not president yet.
Right.
That was the other part of that. As if that's when you would start putting together your plan.
Dan, that is almost the exact line I used 3 weeks before my book is due.
I have concepts of a book.
I have concepts. Do you have a plan for finishing this book? I have concepts of a plan. And I do.
Yeah.
I do have concepts of a plan.
The difference is you pull it off. He still has yet to produce a healthcare plan.
Yeah, he didn't have... I mean... Like, nobody here was expecting, like, they were going to watch it and he was going to start laying out actual information.
No.
This lazy fucker is so mad that he has to do work now. He's so mad about it. And he's only doing it because he's in so much trouble from the crimes.
Right.
So now he's got to do this job, and he thought it was going to be kind of easy, but it's not.
No.
And now he's got to work, and now a black woman might beat him, and his whole world will die.
Yeah.
Also, he did get in a thing. He's like, Biden now, they're going to have to go wake him up because he went to bed at 4 p.m.
Right. Yeah. And she reminded him a few times, like, you're running against me. You're not running against Joe Biden.
Right.
It's very clear just how upset he is about that fact. Like, he would very much like to be running against Joe Biden and repeatedly you saw that play out tonight.
The key thing was something like that is you as much as you can repeat something, repetition is such a weirdly a pathetically effective rhetorical trick.
Yeah.
But she just kept saying, clearly they were like, here, there's a couple things we're going to keep saying over and over. As many answers as possible, you're going to say that he's weak.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Weak. Like it just kept coming up.
Yeah.
She just took the bait every time on all of it. And also like she baited him with the Wharton School at one point.
Yep.
Like
it was really remarkable actually just how well she could play that man. She mentioned his dad at one point, and then he had to go on a whole thing about his dad. She mentioned the ad he took out about the Central Park Five, and then suddenly he's like trying to re-argue that the Central Park Five were guilty. Like, I mean, just the ease with which she was able to make that man get combative about everything was refreshing to see, right? Because as people that have been looking at this man for a long time, it's very clear, but Biden never played that, like we haven't really seen that before it at this level of just like, it was clear, in all of the training, it was like, here's a list of things to mention, right? Like, and she hit crowd size early on, and it was off to the races from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he got real mad. You could see in his eyes, he saw it slipping away.
Yeah.
And there's one thing I love in this world, Dan, and that is the look in Donald Trump's eyes when he sees things slipping away from him.
Yeah,
that
definitely.
I could write poems about that. I get real romantic about that. I like that a lot. Oh, I like the look because he just was like squinching, making a little tiny because he has a tiny face. His little tiny face, and then he does it like he sticks the bottom teeth out like my dog does when she has to poop. He does like this. It's a little underbite, and then he was looking up at the clock, and then he was squinting again, and then he was doing. Occasionally, he does the big mouth where he goes like this.
Yeah, a lot of that. A lot of the weird mouth.
What's this one? What's this one? How do you describe that? What's that look like?
Yeah, that really is it. So you're making your chin out, mouth super wide, but closed lipped.
Yeah. So you put the chin out, you make a really long straight line, and you close your eyes like this.
Yeah. And the close eye thing, he's making his mouth and his eyes all look the same.
It's like as if someone deflated Mick Jagger. It sort of looks like that. Like it's real big, but it's toothless. It's like just a little.
Do you want to know something wild, Maureen?
Yes.
In 2 months, this will be over.
No, it won't.
I mean, I think it will. Because 2 months will be 5 days after Election Day, right? And the last one was wrapped up in that time. That was Election Day was Tuesday, so you had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it was wrapped in 4. That was when Four Seasons Total Landscaping happened. Was that Saturday? So 5 days, 2 months, this will be done. We are in the final 2 months of this campaign, at least.
What happens when he loses, Dan? What does he do?
I think that he will attempt to do the same shit. But here's the difference. This is the thing that I feel like we forget. He's not the president right now, right? Like, every now and then I have to remind myself, because I'm like, oh yeah, he had to find a new willing idiot to be his VP so that person could send, votes back to the elector, to the states and all of that. None of that can happen, right? He's not the president. The president of the Senate, the person that will sit on the Senate, is Kamala Harris, right? Like, all of the attempts to bend the Justice Department to do his bidding, to overturn, in Georgia and all of that he doesn't have that. None of that, right? So all he has is weirdo lawyers that will do shit, but he doesn't have the power of the presidency behind him. He does not have any of that. He has no control over the seats of power that he had before. So I don't know how effective that will be. I think certainly they will try, but they don't have the same levers that they can pull that they pulled last time. So in terms of, I don't think we can see a repeat of last time. I think what we certainly could see is a lot more fucking gun-toting militias and shit like that, so could be worse. But every now and then I have to remind myself that he is not the actual president, and so none of the shit that he tried to pull specifically can happen.
Yeah. I mean, also, what do you think will happen to him personally?
In what capacity?
Like, just in general. Oh, by the way, remember that run, spot, run thing?
Yeah, that was weird.
That was early on. So one of the very first questions, they were asking something about a plan that the Biden administration had. And he goes, they don't have a plan. I've seen it. It's like 4 sentences. It's like run, spot. Why does he sound like Woody Allen? Why? It's like run, spot, run. It was weird. I want to know if he just explodes. Like, does he have a heart attack? Like, what happens to him?
I mean, that would be fitting. Right?
I don't think he's going to cope well.
Oh, he's definitely not going to cope well. That was another actually quite good line that she had, was when they were talking about January 6th and the election. And she said something to the effect of, that seems to be information that he's having a hard time processing.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she had good lines.
And sure. He started to want to relitigate the 2020 election again. They kind of set that up for him. And they said something like, you said that the moderators were like, you said you didn't lose, but then recently you said you, quote, lost by the smallest of margins, a whisker or whatever. And then he just said, did I say that? And then he said, I was joking. I said it sarcastically.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we reviewed the tape and you didn't seem to be sarcastic. Anyway, also, I feel like the one true common ground that they had, and there was common ground, is that both parties were equally happy to throw JD Vance under a goddamn bus.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Everyone's like, that guy is made of road. Let's go. Everyone in the bus.
Yeah, at one point he was asked, JD Vance said that you would veto a national abortion ban or whatever. And would you? And he was like, well, I don't talk to him about that. That's not something that I've ever talked to. That's not his place to say. Like, but I'm okay with him saying things that he hasn't approved by me or whatever. It was just like, oh boy.
He's so mad. He's so mad.
You know when he's going to be even madder at that man is on October 2nd. The day after he debates Tim Walz. America's most beloved man.
It's like you've been told you have to stop, you're out at sea and you have to stop your boat and someone has given you an anchor made of salt. Like, you're fucked. This is, there's nothing. Like, you have been handed such a bag of shit in this, man, and you know it. You know that you've been handed a bag of shit And now you got to carry. Imagine you've been handed a bag of shit, and you got to carry that bag of shit everywhere you go and go, it's me. It's me. And there's just a bag of shit with a face drawn on it. And you have to hold it up for all pictures and be like, it's me and my friend, bag of shit. And he's so mad. He hates it so much.
Yeah, he
and if
definitely
nothing
hates it.
else, we got this. I think,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think October 2nd is going to be, I think, way funnier than this.
Oh, it'll definitely be a lot funnier. A lot funnier.
I think it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah. Are we recording that one? Are we going to do that again?
Oh, yeah.
Are we? Okay.
Because that one's going to, come on, Dan. That's actually going to be pretty, oh, no. What am I saying?
Yeah.
It's 11:30 at night.
Fun.
And I'm like just getting over the adrenaline rush. As you can see, I'm kind of processing.
Yeah. You're working. I'm laying down again.
I'm really going through it. Like it really is. It's like I'm trying to get the demons out. It's like I feel like I need an old priest and a young priest to make this go away. It's just I'm like, wow, what a stupid, weird country we are that we are doing this.
Look, you just reminded me, Maureen.
Okay.
I've watched a few episodes of a show that I hadn't heard about before. It's called Evil. Have you heard of this show?
No.
This is how this show was pitched. It's like in season 4, and somehow I've only just heard about it. This is how it had to have been pitched when they pitched it. What if we made exactly the X-Files, but instead of aliens, it was demons, and instead of the FBI, it was the Catholic Church? Like, it is so the X-Files that it is ridiculous. Like, they did not put any effort into trying to make it not the X-Files.
They don't.
Anyway, it's fine. I've never watched a show that I have been more like, well, this is fine. This is a fine show.
I don't think I'd like that show.
I loved the X-Files.
Oh, I love the X-Files. I just don't think I'd like the show you just described.
Yeah, it's weird. There's enough interesting bits, and the acting is good that that I was intrigued by it. But then I realized there was an entire season of Taskmaster New Zealand that I hadn't seen yet, and I've just been watching that instead.
Taskmaster New Zealand, which we watch now because there was a new season that we've been watching through. Possibly better than the original.
I don't think so, but it is definitely the second best.
It's very, very good, and Paul Williams is just so good.
Yes. So the Alex Horn is absolutely the second best Alex Horn. The problem that I have with Taskmaster New Zealand is that the Greg Davis is not anywhere near as good.
He's getting better, though.
He's getting better, but
I think he's getting better. He was very stiff in the beginning, and I think he's loosening up.
Taskmaster Australia has the better Greg Davis. Taskmaster Australia has the number 2 Greg Davis and the number 3 Alex Horn.
Okay.
That's my take on the 2 Oceania Taskmasters. But both of them are excellent. Australia is extremely good. Weirdly, also filmed in the same house that the New Zealand one is.
Is it? So is it filmed in New Zealand, or is
I guess so. Like, it's weird. They use the same house. I don't know why. I kind of wish they didn't do that, but you know.
See, I've never really gotten into the Australia one.
The Australia one's very good. The one that just finished up was quite hilarious.
All right. It's just I've really loved Paul Williams in the Alex Horn.
Yes, he is great.
Are we talking about this because we prefer it to this debate?
Yes.
Right.
Also, I just feel like people need something good. Go seek it out.
It is
because
good.
It's fantastic. Can you just watch it now on their YouTube channel? Can you see?
We've been watching it on YouTube, but I don't think it's their channel.
I'm accessing it through nefarious means.
Hey, you know what else is really good?
What?
The movie The Fall Guy.
Is it? No, it can't really be.
It's really funny.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. It's
Have I told
genuinely
you
hilarious.
how much the Lee Majors, the Fall Guys show was like everything to me when I was in 3rd grade?
I get that because I also watched it, but this is unlike the A-Team remake where they tried to make a serious one. This one's just really funny.
Okay.
And it's got Ryan
Reynolds.
No, not Ryan Reynolds.
Okay.
The good one. Ryan Gosling.
Okay.
Who's
Those are different people?
Yes, very different.
Okay.
Because Ryan Gosling is fucking hilarious and charming and is in one of my favorite movies of all time, The Nice Guys.
Okay.
It's a very similar character, but it's just about, it's really good. And in the end, it has the kind of like really good tribute to stunt people because you get to see all of the people who did the stunts for the movie itself in an extended clip, like where you see all of the actual stunt people.
Oh, that's cool.
So they really kind of shout out to their stunt people, but the stunts are fucking hilarious. Like, it's genuinely funny. I recommend
Here's
it.
a thing that I had never connected dots on until I saw someone mention it.
Okay.
This is not about Ryan Gosling, but about Ryan Reynolds. He's the guy that does Deadpool.
I've never seen Deadpool, but I think that's correct.
Him, right?
Okay. Probably?
Yeah, I think that's right. And is also he's like the owner of the Wrexham Football Club.
Yes, he's that.
Yes, okay. Somebody said, the thing that annoys me about Ryan Reynolds is that he stole all of Jason Lee's bits, and we never talk about it. And then I realized, wow, that's true. All he does is just what Jason Lee did, but then he like turned it into a $1 billion business.
I think Ryan Reynolds got all his money from selling phones.
Right, but he built it on just being Jason Lee. Right? Who folks may not remember because he's not even like an actor anymore, right? But like
did he then go into phones?
No, he became he left Scientology, so that kind of ruined his career, I think. And then he moved to Denton, Texas for a while, and he became an art photographer. So, but yeah, I never really realized just how much his whole thing is what Jason Lee did during his like moment in the sun. Anyway, that's all. That was an observation that perhaps is only interesting to me. Jason Lee, also an incredible skateboarder. That's the main thing about him that I like. Just an unbelievable skateboarder who transformed the whole art.
You don't want to talk about this debate.
No. I mean, I feel like we did. What else would we do? We just keep hashing it out. You need if your body needs to hash it out, we can hash it out more.
No, it's that as Americans, all we do now is chew on this gristle.
Yeah, we got a lot of gristle.
Just go.
So one question I had coming out of this, or before coming out of this, was, will they agree to do it again? Right, because this was the only one, and
no one wants
there are a few.
We don't need that.
I think Harris's people would happily do it. I don't think Trump's people are going to have to do it.
But usually there's like one on like foreign policy, one on domestic policy. Like, this was just like, we just went through it all. He came out, he said people were eating pets. He talked about crotch sizes and then he just sputtered a bunch, and she said turn the page, and then we were done.
Yeah, that summed it up.
And in the middle, we just revisited old traumas. Yeah. Got previews of family arguments. Yeah. And of weird New York Times columns in which they somehow twist themselves into pretzels saying that Trump won. It's going to be tough, but I believe in them.
Yeah.
I believe in them. They'll get Pamela Paul out if they need to. Unleash her. Pamela Paul. Do you know Pamela Paul? Pamela Paul?
No, I don't know.
Pamela Paul is a book reviewer who now does columns about stuff, who's sort of the Andy Rooney of...
Oh, no.
She's like, you know what I hate is how everything now has to be transgender or something terrible like that.
Oh, good. Perfect.
So they let her out of book reviewing, and now she just has bad takes about stuff in general.
Speaking of which, that just reminded me that one of the odder fever dream moments that Trump rambled through, at some point he said, she's going to make illegal immigrants get transgender surgery in jail?
Yes, he did say that.
Yeah. Okay.
That's mandatory now. I mean, also recently on the campaign trail, he's been saying, you know, you say goodbye to your kids and they go to school and they come back and they've had a sexual reassignment surgery at school.
Yeah, that's how it works.
They do that at school.
Yeah, that's how it works. I send kids to school, and that's true. What's weird is it happens every day. So they just, you know, and eventually they end up the gender that they were when the week started.
Or they have like just way too many fingers or something at the end. Like, so if you have too much surgery, you got a nose on your back. Like, if you're having weird surgery, if you're having surgery every day with done by people who are definitely not surgeons, things are going to go weird after a while.
You just end up looking like an AI image.
But, you know, also, but he said in the debate that you can get an abortion at 9 months, and also you can give birth, and then they set the baby aside and go, should we kill it?
Oh, he said they don't call it an abortion now. They call it an execution.
Mm-hmm.
I like that idea. That everyone's sitting around going, do we execute him?
Should we kill the baby? Should we just, I don't know. Sure. And
sounds great.
No, he did that in the last debate too, and no one stopped him.
Yeah. I mean, this time she did, and also the moderators also stood up and were like, that is not actually a thing. Not that that will stop anyone that wants to believe it's a thing from it being a thing, but it's good to have said that.
I mean, damn, people believe some weird stuff. You know, when I went to Catholic school, we had to watch really creepy, weird movies about abortion that contain lots of things that do not happen.
Yeah.
And when I was in the car with my mom, a nurse, on the way home from school. I was like, yeah, we had to watch this movie today. And I described all the stuff in it. She was like, yeah, none of that happens. I speak as someone who's been in the room. That doesn't happen. So, you know, there's a lot of misconceptions out there about how that even, like, so you can, I probably know people personally that you could be like, they take the baby and then they set it aside and then they sit down and they say, should we kill it?
Yeah.
I absolutely probably, I think I can even tell you who they are. I won't. I'm pointing them out in my head, the people who believe that.
Yeah.
So all in all, Dan, percentage wise, scores.
What are we scoring? What is the score?
If there's a total number of points out of 100 and like,
let me tell you something before we get to this.
Okay.
We have discussed in the past the cicadas that took over the Midwest and specifically Illinois and areas over the beginning of the summer, right? They were every fucking where. And I kind of loved it. And I will be honest with you, Maureen, I miss the cicadas now because they were such a reminder that like we live with prehistory just below our feet. I loved it. This is the thing they didn't tell me.
Okay.
There are microscopic bugs that eat the eggs of cicadas that they have implanted at the tips of branches in trees. And apparently right now, those microscopic bugs are falling out of the trees and onto you. They are so small that you cannot see them. They are so small that they can pass between woven cloth. And they bite you, and Maureen, it fucking itches like fucking crazy. And as opposed to like a mosquito bite that fades in like a day, they just stick around.
Why are you
So
telling me
I'm
this
sitting here
before-
right now just
You are
itching this
scratching.
goddamn cicada mite bite that is killing me. And I have another one right here. This one I've had for a week. Anyway, continue. Let's score this thing.
There's a grand total of 100 points to distribute.
Okay.
So how many points? That you have to distribute 100 points.
I mean, what?
It's like
you first.
All right. I'm gonna give her 92.
Okay.
And I'm gonna give him for 8 for not shitting himself and falling over in his own shit.
Okay. All right. I mean, I would probably put her more in the 97 if that's how we're distributing. Because I'm not entirely unconvinced that he didn't shit himself. There were definitely some moments where he might have been shitting.
Could have been this face.
Yeah, the squinch face, you know.
My
and
dog does that
I'll give
she
him
needs to poop,
3 for not bolting.
Okay.
Because I think there was a moment in the debate where he was like, we could both leave right now, and you could go to Washington and do some stuff. But, like, he didn't give himself a job with leaving. He just wanted to leave. That was about half an hour. That was like halfway through. He was like, we could both leave right now. This debate is terrible. You're doing a terrible job. We could both leave right now. So that he didn't, I guess, is the 3 points I'll give him.
Okay. All right. Well, there you have it. We've talked about this for 50 minutes. We watched it for an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah. And you know what I get to do after this? Edit it. So, woo.
Well,
anyway,
this was all worth it.
This was definitely worth it. Says Who is made possible by you through your support of our Patreon, where this weekend you'll be able to see me and Maureen stare into space for 90 minutes, occasionally remarking, but mostly staring.
There's a lot of staring.
That is if you give it the $5 or $10 a month level. That $10 a month level also gets you a sticker in the mail, because you become a member of the Says Who sticker club. You get one every month, and they're all great. Our theme music was performed by Ted Leo. Our logo was designed by Darth. You can contact us at Says Who Podcast on Threads, at Says Who, at omfg.town, on Mastodon. You can join the Facebook group at /group/SaysWhovians. Our Facebook group is moderated by Janice Dillard. Maureen, I'm doing all of this off the dome.
Yeah, you really are.
If you want to join the fan run Discord server, you can go to tinyurl.com/SaysWhoDiscord. Is that it? Might not be it.
That's it.
Is it? Okay. Whatever you do, leave stars and reviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen. I will also throw out a plug for Rebel Spirit, the podcast that I'm producing with Akilah Hughes that is so good. Episode 2 is out this week. Episode 2 is one of my very favorite things. Episode 2, when we finished it up, that was the moment that I knew we were doing something real. So go check that out, and also leave stars and reviews for that if you can. Whatever you do, you will catch us next week. That's what, the 17th of September, 18th of September. That's when you'll see us. You'll hear from us then. You'll see us this weekend. And from my basement on a couch in Chicago, I am Dan Sinker.
And from almost midnight in the east, and from New York City, best city in the world. Also, Dan, I was going to send you a photograph today I explained to Dan that our city streets are littered with those little U-bend.
Oh yeah, the little toothpicks.
They're like the floss on a stick things.
Yeah.
And I explained to Dan that they're everywhere on New York streets, like everywhere. I passed so many today. I was like, oh, I should take a picture of one for him. And then I was like, no, even I can't do that. And our mayor might be a little bit sort of going to jail. It's kind of unclear, but that's a topic for another day. From New York City, greatest city in the world, I'm Maureen Johnson.
This has been Says Who. We did it, Joe.
Don't eat my dog.